Ready, ma'am?
Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will be starting Unit 3.3b, which is the second part of the unit that we covered last class. In the last class, we did the poem Amal Kanti, and you had the exercise to write a letter of recommendation. Now, in this chapter, we will be covering a story called Bhimayana. Now, the idea of covering the story for this particular chapter is not as much as the story, but to teach you how to write a Facebook post, a tweet, or just interacting on social media. Now, how much social media has become relevant to our lives. Every one of us is a part of the social media circus, and all of us have accounts. Now, the reason why this is important, or to know, now you can say that you can put up anything on your social media, like it's up to you, which is true. But the reason why this is being taught is not so much as whether you can put up whatever you want in your social media, which of course you can, but also to have meaningful engagement. Because you might know that how powerful social media as a medium is. You know about the cases, like how much power trending tweets have, how much power trending hashtags have. So, like, for that matter, like, just because of the power that social media has, you should be able to use even this medium carefully and in an intelligent way, where you can bring meaningful engagement, where you can actually bring in the changes that social media aspires to bring in. As you all might be aware, like in 2020, if you all remember, like the Sushant Singh Rajput case that was happening, and you know how much power social media had in it, how much power that particular uh, just the medium of tweeting had in that whole case. It was trending for days after days, and because of this reason, it is important that even you know how to engage meaningfully on social media. Now, of course, you can take any side you want. You can have your personal politics, and social media is a place where you can express yourself just the way you want to, without anyone telling you what, like, without anyone stopping you from doing what to do. Of course, there is right and wrong even over there. You cannot be putting obscene content or lewd content, but you can put content even if everyone doesn't agree with you. So, through this chapter, what you're going to be taught is not only how you can engage meaningfully on social media, but to think about certain social issues that are often highlighted in social media, like cases of violence, cases of rape, cases of assault. All of these go around on social media, like the hashtag Me Too. You all might know about the Me Too movement, the boys locker room movement, movements where people have come up and uh, shared their grievances on social media, shared their stories on social media. And so you, as a viewer, as a spectator, as someone part of the social media, should know which is the right thing to do. You should be able to critically engage with it, think about it, and have an opinion. If at all you form an opinion, have an opinion that could have some weight. And that is why this chapter is important. In this chapter, we will be studying this. The suggested reading from this chapter is Bhimayana, which is a graphic novel which is a graphic novel that presents certain incidents from Ambedkar's autobiography. And you will see how we all know who B.R. Ambedkar is, and we know his contribution to the Constitution of India. We know that he was such a force to reckon with, someone who came from a very, very oppressed background. He was from the Dalit community, but he managed to make his voice heard, and he contributed to the making of this country, and he fought for the rights of the Dalits and the lower caste, like the lower caste population of this country, who have been treated with so much, who have had to undergo so much oppression and have been mistreated in this country for such a long time. So the reason why this is the suggested reading is because this is such a sensitive issue and such an important issue that is a part of our country even today, very sadly. And there is so much there's so much discrimination, and you should know how to pick up these social issues, whatever issues you see on social media, and to know the right thing to do, and to know how to bring out right meaningful engagement. So we will start with we will start with today's reading. So I'm teaching from your book only, as you can see. Okay, so let's start. Bhimayana is a graphic novel which presents certain incidents narrated by B.R. Ambedkar in his autobiographical notes written in the year 1935. These notes highlight the practice of untouchability in the Indian society. Now, you all are aware of what untouchability is in the Indian society. It was committed against lower caste people. You know the caste system in India: the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, uh, Vaishyas, and Shudras. You know how the Shudras were treated as the outcasts and ostracized and kept outside society. They were treated as untouchables. So this narrative, or this particular graphic novel, you know what a graphic novel is. A graphic novel is like a comic book where you have pictures, and along with the pictures you have the writing. You all have seen graphic novels, like you've seen the Tinkle, or so many, any Tinkle, any of the Marvel graphic novels like Spider-Man, Iron Man. Those are graphic novels where the graphic is along with the writing. So Bhimayana is also a graphic novel, and it talks about the the practice of untouchability in India, and how unjust it is and how wrong it is. So Bhimayana begins with a frame narrative where the male character, whose name is not mentioned, voices a common complaint of the upper castes against reservations for Dalits. These damn job quotas for backward and scheduled castes. So what the story mainly deals with is the male character in the story. He just talks about this common complaint that upper caste people have against reservations. So this is a common thing which even you might have seen in your college admissions, that people have this opinion that that there's so much debate around whether reservations should exist in this country or not. So this particular male character is voicing his complaint about upper caste people having this issue against reservation. This is immediately challenged by another unnamed character who is a female, and the dialogue that follows gives us the history of caste discrimination and also the atrocities that perpetrated against the Dalits in India. So this is like a conversational novel where, you remember in the first class we talked about dialogue, how to form a dialogue. So this is like a conversation between a male character and a female character, and the male character is talking about a complaint that he has against the upper caste for for uh, complaining about reservations, and the female character talks about is challenging that or is not agreeing with that. So this conversation gives you the history of the caste discrimination in India, and all the atrocities that have been, or all the wrongs that have been committed against people from lower caste. Newspaper clippings of violence against Dalits in the recent past from across the nation are used to reinforce the point that untouchability is alive and kicking in India. So you might have seen so many cases every day. You will see some headline or the other, either on Facebook or on your Instagram, or if you just simply Google, if you sit right now and Google about caste atrocities in India, you will see something as recent as yesterday, something has happened. Someone has beaten up a Dalit for being a Dalit person, not even because they did anything, but someone has deprived them of food, someone has thrown them out on the road, etc., etc. Like something or the other is just always happening when it comes to like with the caste atrocities in India. So uh, this message is especially meant for the educated urban Indians who would like to believe, like the unnamed character, that caste isn't any longer a caste isn't real any longer, and it's a non-issue. The frame narrative ends here, and we move to the graphic representation of certain incidents narrated by B.R. Ambedkar in his autobiographical notes. Book 1, 2, and 3, the frame narrative re-emerges at the end of each book. Now, okay, before we start anything, let me explain to you the concept of a framed narrative. Now, what is a framed narrative? A framed narrative is where two people or where a person is telling you like a story, okay? But like here, it's not like one person telling you a story. There's a conversation happening between two people, and that gives rise to this situation where they start talking about the graphic presentation of certain incidents from B.R. Ambedkar's life. Because you see, the main idea of the conversation is about the Dalit atrocities, right? So they move to this particular moment in time where they talk about B.R. Ambedkar, because he was like a champion of Dalit active, like he was the champion of being a Dalit activist, and which is why they talk about like his a part of his story is being narrated. So it is like a story inside a story, basically. uh, and then so that is like a frame narrative, and when that story inside a story is over, again the narrators come back. So for example, if I am telling you guys a story and I have finished like I'm telling you one story and there's a discussion going on. So uh, just to uh, support that discussion, I tell you a story within the story. And once that story is over, obviously I'm going to come back to the point I was trying to make. So that is what a frame narrative is. Like it's like a frame, how a frame of a picture is, where you have like an outside thing and then the picture is inside. So that is what a frame narrative is. Okay. Now, okay. So in this particular chapter, we'll be covering book 2, which is the incidents from B.R. Ambedkar's life. So Bhimayana is a fluid combination of three genres: a novel, an autobiography, and a graphic novel. These are separate genres, as you can understand. An autobiography is when you write your own life story. A graphic novel, like I said, is a picture supported with writing, like I gave you examples of your Tinkle Digest, of your Marvel, DC Comics, any comic book. And you know what a novel is. The frame narrative at the beginning is fictional in nature, and by re-emerging at the end of each book, binds the three separate autobiographical incidents into a continuous whole. So this framed narrative, like the framed narrators, these two unnamed characters, they start each story and they come back at the end of each book. And this is what actually gives them or connects the three different books together. The graphic illustrations are a brilliant example of good art. Good art is a form of painting, Gondat, and Gondat is a form of painting which uses dots and lines and is practiced by the Gonds, one of the largest Adivasi tribes in India. They have a large presence in Madhya Pradesh and also inhabit small pockets in Andhra, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, and Orissa. So this is if you find this book, or I will look up this book online. If the book exists, then I will. Okay, let me see if I can find some illustrations on Google, and I'll just show you, or I'll just show you what Gondar is. Okay, just 1 minute. I'll just share my screen. this is gone that. This is, you can see how intricately it is done. So the graphic novel or the pictures in that comic book are drawn in this manner. This is the manner in which it is presented. And the reason why this art form is used, as you can understand, is because it is practiced by one of the largest Adivasi communities in India. And as you can understand, as you know, that the Adivasis are also very deprived and oppressed, just like the Dalits. The tribal people are also treated like outcasts. So because this whole narrative aims to bring out this oppression against the people in the margins, or the people who are away, the people who are not upper caste and are not conventionally, uh, and society doesn't treat them like they treat the upper caste people. So this whole graphic novel, this whole novel aims to bring them to the front, to highlight them. So while you use stories of the Dalits, you use news clippings of the Dalits, you hire or you use the art form of the Gond people to just highlight their art form. So this particular chapter is going to deal with the second book, like I said, which is called Shelter. Now, uh, now they have given you a detailed summary, which is what we are going to discuss. Ambedkar returns from Columbia University in the year 1917 after completion of his education, sponsored by the Maharaja of Baroda. He boards a train from Bombay to Baroda with the intention of working for the Maharaja, who had made his education possible. Very early on in the journey, Ambedkar is made aware of the fact that he is a Dalit and an untouchable. So Ambedkar is a Dalit person, which means he is from the Dalit community, a lower caste person in India. And like I said, they have been treated like untouchables. And he's made aware about this fact very early on in the story. A fact he had almost forgotten as a student in America. Because you know that the Western countries do not really have a caste system. There is no caste system. Definitely, there are rich and poor people, but this has nothing to do with caste. Caste is a very, very Indian concept, a very, like, very much a part of our Indian territory. His co-passenger, a Brahmin, strikes up a conversation with him on the assumption that Ambedkar belongs to an upper caste. His assumption rests solely on the premise that being well educated and well dressed, that Ambedkar cannot be a Dalit. So you can see the problem in this Brahmin's thinking, right? Just because Ambedkar is so well educated and just because he is well dressed, he doesn't think that he can be from a lower caste. When there is no correlation between there shouldn't be a correlation between where you belong from society and how you present yourself or your education. Education should be for everyone. Your right to live a better life should be for everyone. But look at this Brahmin just thinking that uh, just because he is well dressed and he went to Columbia and he went to America for his education, he cannot be a Dalit. At one point, when his co-passenger says, "I wish my son could learn from you. He is a disgrace to our Brahmin caste," Ambedkar starts to correct his assumption. "I am not Bra," but he stops himself. And does not complete the sentence. He tells himself that an untouchable is a problem to himself and to others, and he should be more careful and not reveal his Dalit identity. Now you can see the second problem that arises. The first problem that we see is in the way the Brahmin thinks. And he is telling Ambedkar that, he wishes that his son could learn from him. But in truth, if this Brahmin was to find out that the person he is talking to, this person who has gone to America for his education, is actually a Dalit, you think the Brahmin would ever want his son to be educated by him? Whereas it makes no sense though. If you think about it logically, why not? Education shouldn't have any barriers. Education, it doesn't matter if you're learning from a Dalit or you're learning from a Brahmin. It shouldn't be that case, right? Just 1 minute. I'm just 1 minute. Sorry for the interruption. Anyway, so as I was saying, that logically when you think about it, this should never be a problem whether who your son is being taught by, because anyone can be educated, and whoever is educated has the right to teach your child. It has nothing to do with whether they are a Brahmin or whether they are a Kshatriya or whatever. Like, this doesn't matter. Now, the second problem that we see is in Ambedkar wanting to conceal his or hide his Dalit identity. Now, the reason he doesn't want this Brahmin to find out that he is a Dalit is because he knows the Brahmin is going to judge him. The Brahmin is going to make bad comments about it. And Ambedkar definitely doesn't want that. If you were that person, you wouldn't want that. The problem that Ambedkar is referring to here is the deep-seated belief that the touch of a Dalit, either physically or of other things like food and water, pollutes the purity of the upper caste and must be avoided at all times. You can see how problematic this thinking is, how wrong this thinking is. Ambedkar is not willing to disclose or tell his Dalit, tell the Brahmin that he is a Dalit, is because of this deep-seated idea that exists in the society that whatever a Dalit touches or whatever a lower caste person touches becomes impure. And this makes no sense. Why would it become impure? They are human beings just like you are. Why would it become impure? And if a Dalit rebels against this belief, or if he raises his voice against this belief, he might end up being trashed or worse, lynched. You can understand that if a Dalit ever raises his voice against this or says that this is wrong, then he is likely to get beaten up, or is likely to just be ignored. Ignored though is good, but actually he might just get beaten up, and he might just get like, people would get violent against him for just saying something that is actually a fact. And so yeah, this is why he does not he does not say he's a Dalit. We must remind ourselves here that Ambedkar is narrating incidents that occurred in 1917, and over the years, especially after independence, a lot has changed. Untouchability has, however, not been completely eradicated, which means removed, till date, despite stringent laws against the practice. Atrocities against the Dalits continue. Like I said, we know that even though untouchability is not a practice anymore, even though nobody believes in it anymore, or should not believe in it, it's still very rampant in India. It's still happening in India, which is just wrong. So now we move on to the, just 1 minute. Sorry, I'm just so sorry. I put my okay. So now we move on to the second bit of the chapter. Uh, Ambedkar travels to Baroda to take up the post of a probationer in the Accountant General's office. Upon reaching, his first task is to find a place to stay. His options are very limited. He cannot stay with his friends because he realizes that a Dalit has no friends among other castes. So you see the first problem. He moves to Baroda to work for the Maharaja who sponsored his education, but he does not have a place to stay. Now, he cannot stay with friends because he doesn't have friends, and not every person from his caste have been able to uplift themselves. Not every person from his caste have been sponsored their education, and you see, like, when the caste system was more rampant, it was very difficult for lower caste people to come out and have a job, or a job that pays well. Not They all had a job, and they had jobs of being menial workers, of being paid very low wages, so they couldn't afford an education. Even Ambedkar couldn't have afforded his education if the Maharaja of Baroda did not sponsor it. So he doesn't have friends from his own community. Like, he doesn't have friends whom he can stay with from his own community, and he realizes that no other caste people would actually help him. He cannot stay in the Hindu hostel because then he will have to pretend that he is an upper caste, and if it is discovered that he is lying, they will beat him up or even maybe kill him. So even he cannot take refuge in the Hindu hostel because he'll have to just pretend that he's from another caste. This situation makes Ambedkar feel like an outsider in his own homeland. So imagine a person in America, they had almost forgotten that he is a Dalit because, like I said, in America, there is no caste system. In the Western countries, there is no caste system, and no one is going to remind you about which caste you're from. But in his own country, he starts feeling like an outsider. He starts feeling like someone who is not being treated with respect. And this is so sad. Imagine you're in your own country and you don't feel like you are at home. You're in your own country and you feel like an outsider. And you're in your own country and you're being ill treated. He decides to stay at an old Parsi inn. Although the rooms were dirty and not well maintained, he thinks this is a safe option as Parsis, being Zoroastrians, do not practice untouchability. He is sadly disillusioned. The caretaker, upon learning Ambedkar was not wearing a sadra, which is a loose shirt with a small pocket in front, made of thin cotton, and kasti, a braided thread tied around the sadra, and is a Hindu, asks him to leave the inn as it is only for Parsis. So he first takes shelter at a Parsi inn, thinking that because they don't practice Hinduism and they practice they practice Zoroastrianism, they are not going to uh, throw him out. They're not going to throw him out for being a Dalit, and they will not practice untouchability. Except that when the caretaker understands that Ambedkar is not a Parsi, he is told to leave irrespective. The caretaker makes it very clear that he should not expect him to stop and chat. Once again, Ambedkar is painfully made aware that he is an outsider and cannot expect basic human interaction between two people, which is conversation, only this time because of his religion. So first, because of his caste, he is thrown out, and now because of his religion. The situation at office is no better. The others in office hurl files at him, fearing his touch. To describe his existence at this point in life, Ambedkar uses the simile of an ox in an oil press. Like the ox, he is walking in circles going nowhere. To escape the inn, he goes to office, and to escape the office, he goes back to the inn. So you see that his life is miserable. Even at office, he is not treated with respect. Though he studied from Columbia, though he is so well educated, he's still not treated with respect. People throw files at him just so that they don't have to touch him by mistake. And he just is in this very depressive place where he's constantly made to feel like he doesn't belong. He's an outsider, and no one no one wants to engage with him. Finding himself, so the situation, yeah, uh, all the applications to various offices for permanent accommodation in one of Baroda's state bungalows are in vain. 4 days after he takes up the residence at the inn, one morning a group of Parsis with sticks march up to his room and threaten terrible consequences if he does not vacate the same evening. So he is asked to leave the inn, and if he doesn't, they threaten to beat him up. He becomes homeless. He calls his friends, who is one of whom is a Hindu, the other one Christian. His Hindu friend obviously tells him no. He tells Ambedkar that his servants will leave him if Ambedkar stays with him. His Christian friend uses the excuse of his wife to turn him away. So no one allows him to stay. Claims that his wife is an orthodox and not liberal in this matter, which means that she is conservative and she won't understand and not allow him. What is ironical here is that both these friends first expressed shock at the manner in which Ambedkar was turned out of the Parsi inn, but find nothing wrong in doing exactly the same. So, this is written to just tell you about the hypocrisy that we also perform. We are always so shocked when bad things happen to people, but sometimes we commit them ourselves without understanding. Like both his friends are so shocked at him being thrown out from him being told to leave from the Parsi inn. But when He asks them to allow him to stay. They also don't allow him. Uh, it is ironical that in a city like Vadodara, which is Baroda, named after banyan tree which gives shelter to all, Ambedkar has nowhere to go and cannot find shelter. He decides to wait in the uh, Kamathi Bagh public garden before he catches the train back to Bombay. So he decides to return to Bombay because he has no place to stay. And you see why this part of the book is called Shelter, because it is about him trying to find a shelter. And Baroda or Vadodara, which is named after a banyan tree. A banyan tree is so huge and it usually shelters so many birds and small animals and insects and everything. In such a city that is named after banyan tree, he cannot find a shelter. In all, Ambedkar spent 11 days in Baroda and could not serve the Maharaja who had sponsored his education. Ambedkar learned the hard way that a Dalit is an untouchable not only to a Hindu but also to a Parsi and a Christian. Ambedkar laments the fact that he had turned down many well paid jobs to repay the Maharaja's kindness, and it had all come to naught. So, just because he wanted to be grateful to the Maharaja who had helped his education, he took up this job even though he had many other well paying jobs that he could have taken up. And instead of, being able to just work for the Maharaja, all he faced was uh, this whole unjustness that happened against him, that he was treated like an untouchable, not given a home to stay. And what he realized, there was this painful realization that he had, that he's just not an untouchable to the Hindus who follow the caste system, but also to the Parsi and the Christian, who even though they do not follow the caste system, still, because in the society in India, it is so deep rooted, this whole caste system, irrespective of your religion, you still are treated like an untouchable just because of that. So this is what this part of the book is about. And now I was just telling you, right, like we were talking about what a frame narrative is when we start. So here they have just given you an example of what a frame narrative is. The frame narrative is, so the unnamed characters from the frame narrative come back at some point, as I was saying. Like it's the frame of a picture, right? The female character challenges the assertion that untouchability exists only in villages. So there are two characters as we discussed. The male who complains about the upper caste people complaining about reservations. And the female character is challenging the opinion that untouchability exists only in villages, and says that despite his education and status, Ambedkar could not find a shelter. So you see how she brought up this Ambedkar story to support this argument that untouchability does not only exist in villages, it exists everywhere, even in a city as big as Baroda. She then talks about the three siblings who were trashed by the landlord as recent as 2008 in Delhi's Mukherjee Nagar for being Dalits. Newspaper clippings of this incident in The Hindu ends this section. So she gives a real reason how that person is wrong for saying that untouchability exists only in villages by giving this example of something that happened in 2008. Like 2008 is not even in the 20th century, happened in the 21st century, where her her siblings were beaten up in a place like Delhi's Mukherjee Nagar, like in such a posh urban place, in like inside Delhi, not even like the periphery or the margins, not even like in the NCR, but in Delhi itself, where like to the point that there was a newspaper, like a news coverage about the incident. So she tries to establish that this is very much existent and rampant even in India till today. And you can see, just to support this, narrator talks about how Ambedkar couldn't find a home in Baroda in his time, even though he was so educated, even though he was looking for accommodation in a city. So she tries to establish this point. So she starts, one frame of narrative leads to another. Like one point in the story leads to another story, and then you come back to the main point that you're trying to make. So it's like one inside the other. That is, like I said, like a picture frame. You have the frame outside, you have the picture inside. So this is now like I said, the reason behind this chapter was to make you have meaningful engagement on the internet or on social media. Now you have to know these social issues, right? And you should know what is wrong with society, what are the issues that people are raising their voice for or against, and what side you want to be on. So now when you read this particular piece of suggested reading, you can clearly understand what side you want to be on. You obviously do not want to be the Parsi, you do not want to be the Brahmin on the train. You understand that there is no logic behind treating Dalits the way Indians have been treating them for so many centuries now. Like for centuries now, they have been mistreated, and there is no reason for that. So you know that when an issue about a Dalit comes up on Facebook or comes up on Twitter, you know which side to take. But obviously, you should be able to stand up for them and express your opinion in a particular way. And in that in a particular way that it has meaning, in a particular way that you are able to get your message across. That is uh, the whole idea behind it. So the activity that you have for this chapter is that Facebook is an online social networking site. Facebook post is a comment picture or any other media that is posted by a Facebook user. So we know what a Facebook post is. You all know that. And when you post a message, it will appear on your wall. You know this too. So what they have asked you to do is take a newspaper article or an item on Dalit atrocity and write a Facebook post. Now, obviously, they don't mean write it literally on your Facebook, but like this issue that we have been talking about, a social issue. So they have suggested that you, like I said, if you sit and Google at this point about Dalit atrocities in India, you will find some news as recent as yesterday. So take up one of these news articles, read it, and write a post about it. Write an opinion that you have. The idea of a Facebook post is to share an opinion, right? So write what it makes you feel. It makes you feel angry. It makes you feel sad. How do you think this can become better? What do you want to say about it? So this is what they want you to do. That you understand how to meaningfully engage, how to make your voice heard, how to form proper opinions on social issues in social media. And they've given you a second one. You're organizing a musical event at your college. Write a Facebook post with relevant information inviting students to attend the event. Now you know that Facebook, obviously, like I said, social media has so much power and social media can be used for so many movements, etc. But it's not the only thing. You can make announcements. There's more outreach. More people come to know about things. So events on Facebook though is obviously a thing. So in that case, what they have also asked you to do is that say you're organizing an event at your college, a music event, and they want you to write a post and post all the relevant information to invite people to attend it. So you will write about the venue, you will write about the time, you will write about what kind of music, if there is any dress code, if they have to bring anything, if there is any entry fees, whether there's a ticket system. So all these information, relevant information, is what you will make this post like is how you will make this post. The second thing that they have given you is a tweet. Now we know that tweets are not as long as Facebook posts. Facebook posts can be very long. You can write paragraphs after paragraphs, pages after pages, 1,000, 2,000 words. Facebook posts are very long, like they can be. But a tweet is very short. The idea of a tweet is to immediately be able to like is one of those snippets that you just see and you get the message. It's like those text message limits that we had back in the day, remember? I don't know if you are way younger than I am, I understand that, But before the age of WhatsApp and instant messaging online, we used to send text messages. Obviously, you know what text messages are. They still come on your phone. And those text messages had a 140 character word limit for one message. अगर उससे ज्यादा हो जाता था, then two messages, like वो second message हो जाता था. It would be in a single page itself, but your, like, you would have to pay for it. So say, if you, back in the day we had SMS balance and we used to get 100 SMS per day. So if you write one page, तो you एक SMS limit चला जाता. But if it exceeds to 2 pages or 3 pages, then even if it's one message that you are sending, 3 SMSs would get deducted from your balance. So that was the idea. And the tweet is very similar. Obviously, यहाँ पे balance deduct नहीं होता है, but you have this 140 character limit, which means that it has to be very short and very precise and concise. Exactly what the idea that you're trying to convey. So what they have told you is that to write a Twitter post sharing information about your weekend trip that you have organized and inviting students to your college to join. So here, like the musical event of your college, where the post has to be long and detailed, here you have to fit everything in 140 characters. So it has to be a very short and concise thing, but you're supposed to give all the relevant information and invite the students of your college to join you for this weekend trip. Now the last thing that they have asked is, people maintain a diary to keep a record not only of their daily activities, but more importantly of their thoughts, feelings, opinions, and experiences. So you might be writing a diary. I don't know if you guys are writing, if you guys have journal or not. If you do, you know what it is used for. You share your thoughts, you share your opinion, you share your experiences. The diary entries have a date as also the name of the and also the name of the place from where you're writing. So this is to be more precise, like when you're writing, where are you at this moment, like geographically. Whenever whatever is written in a diary is very private and it's not meant for people, obviously, because you're writing this for your own self. And you can write about anything that you want. So here they have asked you if you have ever experienced any discrimination or any bias because of your gender, your caste, your region, your religion, the way you look, your disability. To write a diary entry about that, how that made you feel, your opinion about it, your thoughts about it, what was the experience. This is just for yourself so that you know how to express yourself better. If you know how to form opinions better, if you know how to express yourself better, you will obviously, even when you're writing the Facebook post, even when you're writing a tweet, you will be able to do it even for the public. So if you have ever faced anything that you don't want to talk about because it's so traumatic, or it's just a wrong thing that has happened to you, then obviously you can write about it in your diary and express yourself. So this is what they have asked you to do in this chapter. Now in the next class we will be starting unit 4. I am going a little fast because then in the last class we can discuss like the question paper. But the problem is that I need you all to do these activities. Like every class I give you activities. There are activities at the end of the book, like in the end of the chapter, and we discuss them and I tell you how to do it. I need you to practice them, because only then will the discussion on the question paper in the last class make sense. That's number 1. Number 2 is that I had given the link of the grammar book. Whoever was present in the last class might have it. If you don't have it, then get it. It is Martin Hewing's Advanced Grammar, and practice your grammar. Practicing your grammar will help you construct your sentences, will help you write these things in English properly. So these are the 2 things that I had to say. Now, if anyone has any questions regarding anything, regarding the class, Anything you want me to explain, then please ask. There are no notes as such. I am discussing with you. That is what I'm saying. Like these suggested readings जिसके help से we do these chapters, जैसे grammar का practice, जैसे writing a letter of recommendation, जैसे interview, जैसे dialogue, ये सब एग्जाम में आता है, नॉट द रीडिंग्स. तो मुझे देर इज नो नोट्स दैट आई कैन प्रोवाइड यू. आपको प्रैक्टिस करना है ये सब कैसे करना है. दैट ऑल दैट आई कैन गिव यू is maybe the format of it. I can't tell you what exactly it is. It is something that you have to practice. Uh, the word is Parsis in. Parsi, like the Persian, like you know Parsi people, like from Persia, they are called Parsis. So the in, like you know how you have different like a Christian hostel or a Buddhist hostel. So a Parsi inn is for the Parsi people primarily, but it's not like someone else can't stay over there. It shouldn't be like that. Is there anything else you want to say, discuss? We have we have a few minutes. I have finished today's lecture, so. Well, I think you have been writing Facebook posts. Like if you are on Facebook, you have been writing Facebook posts. So the main idea is to express an opinion or something you want to share with the world. Or I mean with your friend list or whatever. Like you want to share with the public. So that's the main idea behind it. Now, the reason why this is an exercise for you is to be able to express your opinion in a more refined manner or in a more properly. Like imagine you write a very casual Facebook post where you're writing half in Hindi, half in English. Of course, you can do that, but it is very casual. So of course, it is sharing the message that you want to convey. But at the same time, if it's a very serious issue, like an opinion that you have to share, like something as serious as this, say like the whole caste uh, debate that we just discussed in this class, then it would be more preferable if you did it, if you constructed your sentences well, if you did it in a proper organized manner. So that is the whole idea behind this, like that is the idea behind teaching you the idea of a Facebook post. Like like I said, your social media is for your private use and you can do anything you want with it. But at the same time, it should you can also use it to do meaningful things. So the idea of teaching you this in class is so that you can engage in meaningful things. And the same with a Twitter post. Like I said, a Twitter post is very small, concise, precise. So it gives you the information right there. Like there is no beating around the bush. There is no going round and round or narrating a story. It is right there. Your Twitter post, because it is supposed to be very short. It is limited to 140 characters. So you just give your information right there. So the idea is you have to practice how to uh, make your make like to think in a way or to express in a way that it's very short and concise. There is no one way that I can teach you that this is the format of a Facebook post, because these are very open things, or this is the format of Twitter. But yes, in Twitter using hashtags help. If you say you're writing on the caste debate and there is a hashtag that is trending which is on caste, then you use that hashtag. So that will get your message to other people. Like that will help you join the queue of opinion. So using a hashtag on Twitter is very important if you want to, if you want your opinion to be seen. So the hashtags definitely help. Hashtags is what help you trend, is what gets you into the pool of debate that is going on. The syllabus for English fluency is available on your SOL website only, but I can show it to you in the next class. It's exactly what is there in the book. Like the study material, mein everything is covered. So there is no separate syllabus like that you need to see. But if you still want to see what the syllabus is, it is on your SOL website. You can look it up over there. I will look it up myself and I'll share it with you. Thank you so much, Adarsh, for listening and saying that you think I explained it well. It really means a lot to me. Thank you. Anyone else has any questions, doubts, anything? Okay, then I will meet you all again next Friday. We will start with Unit 4. Have a good week. Good afternoon, everyone. Take care.
Over, ma'am.
Yes, sir.